It's mindless now, clicking towards oblivion. How long, K9?
Insufficient data.
Yeah, you never fucking know the answer when it's important.
The good, the bad, and the ugly show.
Hello and welcome back to The Good, the Bad and the Ugly Show. Now today we're talking about something, a toy, a figurine, or whatever you want to call it. Something that meant a lot to me in my childhood. So, let's get into this. Okay, so this is the Tom Baker doll made by Mego for Denny's Fisher. Denny's Fisher were a toy company in the UK. They were around in the 1970s. I'm not too sure if they're still going now. I'll have to look that up. But a lot of British companies used to go to Mego, or used to kind of ask Mego to lend them toys, or, to give them the rights to use their toys and to also design toys for them, which a lot of European countries did as well. 1976, Denny Fisher asked Mego to create them a line of Doctor Who dolls. They stood about 9 inches, I think 9 to 10 inches maybe. This is Tom Baker. So here we go. So you can do things with him. Look, his hat comes off as well. He's a little bit worn around the hair, but he's still pretty good. He's still got his shoes and his original scarf and coat. Hasn't got his little necktie, and he's also missing his sonic screwdriver. But, I mean, that is an incredibly rare thing to find anyway, so you'd be damn lucky to find one of those. So I bought this on eBay. I managed to buy it for £12, and he only came with the scarf, the waistcoat thing, and the shoes. So it looked pretty hideous, quite frightening, so no one else bid on it. So I managed to get it for that price. Then later on, I bought the jacket, and I bought the trousers, and I bought the hat. All quite reasonably cheap, so I managed to complete it in bits. And I guess that's probably the best thing to do, because I've seen these go for, well, anything from kind of 65 to about 120 quid, just as they are. So, he's become a bit of a rarity. And that's probably because he was made in the 70s, kids played with him and broke him, so there weren't that many. But they did find a whole warehouse full of them in Italy about, 10 years ago. That had all been, all still in their boxes. So it's not impossible to find. So I wouldn't refer to this as like a holy grail item, not by any length, because, as I say, you can buy them. And you can't buy holy grails on eBay. For me, it's kind of a must, because I had this as a kid. My dad had this as well. I've been searching for another one for quite a few years. And I mean searching as in I didn't want to pay like 100 quid. So, finally managed to piece it together on by getting it in little bits from eBay. But there we go. They also made a TARDIS. And the TARDIS was a bit like the beamer from the Star Trek line they did, where you put him inside it and you spin it round and he disappears. Cool stuff, right? They also made, obviously made a Dalek, or a couple of Daleks. They made Cyberman, and they made a Leela doll. That's quite hard to get as well. And am I missing something? Yeah, later on, in about 1979, obviously this range kept going until then. They also brought out a K9, because K9 was massively popular. And I think that K9 sold pretty well, from what I remember. So yeah, as I've done the Daypole figures before, and so I mean the Daypole was later, but I mean compare the two Tom Baker likenesses together. This won't even focus because I think the phone's scared of its face. But this was a terrible Tom Baker figure, because obviously no hat, no scarf, didn't really look like him. A bit tiny as well. He's shorter than the Sylvester McCoy one, but we've already done a whole video on that, so I don't need to go into that any further. So people argue that this doesn't look like Tom Baker either. I think it looks enough like him. It's enough like him to, warrant a toy. I mean, most of the early Star Wars figures didn't really look like them either, so, how much do you really want? It's quite hard to get someone's likeness spot on, and these days they can do it really well, but they have the technology. You can just put their face into a 3D printer and get a pretty good figure out now. So back in the day though, things were a little bit more difficult, and someone would have just sculpted this and said, yep, that's good enough, and they would have put that into production. There are rumours that this is actually the head of another figure that never got made, and that figure was one of the characters from the Avengers line that never came out in England. I don't believe that rumour, because people who worked on this have said otherwise. They said, no, that's just, you know, if it looks like that other guy, fair enough. But the reason this doesn't look all that much like Tom Baker is because time was tight, and they had to get it into production and just choose a sculpt that looked the most like him. And I can believe that. I have no problem with this guy's face at all. So Mego toys, they were a massive line. They have come back recently. They went bankrupt in the early 80s. And the creator, well, the guy who was in charge of it at the time, he got in a bit of trouble. But I mean, there's plenty of videos about that. But yeah, Mego, they ran for quite a long time until they went bankrupt. They brought out Star Trek figures, Space 1999, Planet of the Apes, Happy Days. They also brought out small figures of like the Love Boat and I don't know what else was it. All kinds of weird stuff. Dukes of Hazzard, yeah. I don't have much Mego stuff yet. I've only just begun collecting it. One day I hope to get like a load of the little figures that I used to have as a kid. Obviously these things disappear after a while, but this is a very good figure. He's very cool. I recommend collecting him the way I did. Don't like spend hundreds of pounds on one. Just buy it in bits. They're on eBay. You always see things like, you see the scarf sometimes on its own. Also there's a very good shop called Monkey's Emporium. I'll put a little sign up on the screen now. That's who I bought the hat from, and they are a toy dealer a toy specialist in London. They sell like old toys, collectible stuff, but they sell bits and bobs as well that go with things. So that's always a handy thing to have, I reckon. And you know, I mean, it's important stuff. If you're a collector like me, then I don't know about you, but
I need these things! I need these things!
yeah, so very good toy, very good toy. I won't make this video go on too much longer because there's not much you can say about it really. Hold him in front of the camera, say some bits and bobs, and then go away again. But there we go. I just thought I'd share this with you. So at some point when the Star Wars figure expert returns, we will make a whole video on Mego, and we'll do a bit about the history of it, and I'll show off all the Mego toys that I do have. I have about 12 items, so look forward to that. And I'm sure Mr. Tom Baker here will make another appearance again. So there we go. That was the Tom Baker Doctor Who doll made by Mego for Dennis Fisher. I hope you enjoyed that little video. Please like, share, and subscribe to The Good, the Bad, and The Ugly Show.
Because there's no room left in hell.
From outer space, the famous TARDIS brings Time Lord, Doctor Who, and the amazing Leela, ready to do battle against their mighty enemies, the fearful Cyberman, the giant robot, and one of the deadly Daleks. Whilst Leela covers him, the Doctor reaches the TARDIS in time and disappears to escape from the Dalek. Doctor Who, Leela, the fearful inhabitants of outer space, and the TARDIS. From Dennis Fisher. Fantastic.